Chapter 3. The Break-In. Harry? Harry! Wake up! Harry stirred, then sat straight up in bed. What is it? He said. Ginny was leaning over him, wearing her dressing gown. Hermione's here, she hissed. And it's 3 a.m. before you ask. Get up and don't wake the kids. Harry swung his legs out of the bed and slipped his feet into his slippers. For Hermione to be here at this time of night, it must be something critical. He could only think of one case which fit the bill. Ginny handed him his dressing gown. She's downstairs, kitchen. Wouldn't tell me what it was. Harry was frowning as he padded down the stairs, wary of waking the children. Ginny knew about Roll's organisation, and Hermione knew that. What could have happened that was this important, but was not about the Death Eaters? As he walked into the kitchen, Hermione, dressed in her work robes, indicated for him to close the door. She was really intent on keeping Ginny out of whatever it was, Harry thought. Sorry, Harry, she said. This shouldn't be happening, for so many reasons. What's happened? He demanded. Hermione paced and wrung her hands. You remember the grimoire we confiscated? Harry nodded. The one from the night we arrested Malfoy and Lestrange and the rest? Yeah, of course. And the token? Harry stared at her. The grimoire and token Ambrose said we should destroy. Hermione gave him a guilty nod. The grimoire and token Kingsley told me you had destroyed, Harry pressed on. Because you told Kingsley, the Minister for Magic, you destroyed it. Okay, Harry, she protested. You don't have to make a dragon's dinner out of it. What happened to it? Them? She flopped down onto a chair at the kitchen table. It was not a move the adult Hermione would normally make. It reminded him of the teenaged Hermione. Feeling sorry for her, he sat opposite. They were in a strongbox in my office, she began. They should have been safe. You'd have to go through the whole magical law enforcement office to get to it. Hermione paused for several seconds. And? He prompted. One of my officers heard a noise in my office and went to see what it was. Probably thought you'd gone in to spy on the night shift, Harry muttered. Hermione, who had been avoiding his eyes, glanced up at him. The strongbox had been torn apart. They were gone. They'd left. A dead weasel. Harry grunted in disgust. Does Kingsley know? Hermione sighed. Not yet. He'll get a report in the morning. I couldn't tell my people not to say anything. They don't know what's gone. Kingsley will know, or guess, Harry pointed out. Hermione sighed again. He won't need to. I'll tell him. Harry clasped his hands together on top of his head. Merlin's sake, Hermione. They must have been struggling to want these bloody things. Now they've got a token, and they can start building an army of Lydias as soon as they like. Why the hell did you keep them? Hermione was indignant. If they'd made their own, studying ours would have been the best way to understand what we were up against. Well, said Harry, now they've got a grimoire and a token, and we've nothing to study. At least... Harry wanted to say that at least they had Ambrose on their side, and he would know everything about the grimoire. He found he couldn't utter a word. Clearly, he reasoned, Ambrose had not told Hermione about his special status, and was preventing Harry from telling her. At least what, Harry? Hermione sounded keen, even desperate to know. At least you had an opportunity to study the grimoire, Harry improvised. Hermione sagged. Draco and I had worked on it, but not recently, and all our notes were in the strongbox. Harry grimaced. Kingsley... He stopped. He had just remembered something Kingsley had said a while ago. It had been after Tem had died. A cursed knife had injured Phyllis Eggington, their infiltrator. Kingsley had said he had asked an expert to help with the curse on the knife. He had refused to tell them who the expert was. Who would be more expert on old magic and ancient curses than Ambrose? Did Kingsley know about Ambrose? More importantly, did Kingsley still know about Ambrose? Or had Ambrose wiped clean that little corner of the minister's memory? "Okay, Hermione," Harry said. "You go back home, write a report if you can't sleep. I'll go into the ministry and set my guys looking at this. I'll see the minister as soon as he comes in." "No, it's all right, Harry. I need to own up to this," she said. "Seriously, Hermione," Harry insisted. "I'll see him first and see how he reacts. Then we can work out the best way for you to approach him. I mean, yeah, you need to come clean. I'm just saying, let's find the best way to do it for everyone's sake." Hermione clearly wasn't happy. Why would she be? But she agreed to let Harry approach Kingsley. "Now," Harry asked, "shall I pretend I'm not going to tell Ginny, and then tell her when you've gone? Or shall we stop pretending we don't know she's listening at the door?" Hermione shrugged. "Let her in. I might as well get on with being humiliated." Harry nodded and stood up. "Presumably Ron will get his chance when you get home." "He's already had one go," she admitted. "I'm sure he'll have thought of more to say by the time I get back." Harry nodded and opened the door to Ginny. After talking with Ginny, Hermione went home. Harry spoke to Ginny a little longer, then went to the ministry and into his office. He called all 6 members of his elite task squad to come in on duty. By the time they all arrived, it was nearly 5 a.m. Naz Sarson was the first to come in. He had become Harry's right-hand man over the weeks and months following Tempest Savage's death. He was conscientious and thorough. Harry had sent him to talk to the magical law enforcement night shift who had discovered the break-in. Sarson returned to the Aura office shortly after the last member of the task team had arrived. Between them, Harry and Naz briefed the task team on the break-in. The team could understand the context and consequences of the theft, being in on the background story. After some discussion, the members of the team set out to gather information and attempt to track down the culprits. Now all Harry had to do was explain to Kingsley. Kingsley Shacklebolt arrived at the Ministry of Magic around 7 o'clock most mornings, well ahead of the general rush of staff. Harry waited in Shacklebolt's office for the Minister of Magic to arrive by the Flu Network. The Minister's secretary, Marigold Claiborne, insisted on sitting with him. She always came in before Kingsley arrived. She maintained that it was highly irregular for anyone to be in the office when the Minister was not present. Harry didn't mind. He was aware of the danger of impostors using polyjuice. He was glad of the company, and they chatted together. It kept Harry from over-practicing what he would say to Kingsley. Kingsley appeared in his office fireplace a few minutes after 7. His surprise at seeing Harry with his secretary was clear on his face for a moment, but soon under control. "Good morning," he greeted them. "Marigold, you may leave us. I wish to have a confidential word with Harry. Thank you for keeping him company." "Thanks, Mrs. Claiborne," Harry added as the secretary turned to go. She flashed him a smile and an almost pitying look. Harry wondered if she knew more than he had told her. He decided that was her look reserved for anyone with whom the minister wanted a confidential word. "To what do I owe this unexpected pleasure, Harry?" said Kingsley, after his secretary had closed the door. "We have a situation, sir," Harry began. Kingsley nodded gravely. "How serious, Harry?" Harry drew a deep breath. He thought it best to relate the events and talk about the consequences later. "There was a break-in last night in the head of Magical Law Enforcement's office. Because of the difficulty of such a break-in and the items taken, we suspect it was Roll's Death Eaters. I was told—" The minister stopped him. What items did they take from Hermione's office, Harry? They broke into a strongbox. The grimoire and token were removed. Shacklebolt sat down in the chair behind his desk. He gestured to Harry to sit. Harry was relieved. Kingsley was taller than he was. He always felt disadvantaged looking up to the minister, especially when the news was bad. This was about as bad as news could be. He noticed that the smell of furniture polish, which often pervaded the minister's office, was stronger than usual. So, to summarize thus far, Kingsley said, the grimoire and the token, which Hermione gave me to believe had been destroyed, were taken from her office. The two things which Roll needs to churn out super-powerful witches and wizards were in her office. You suspect that it may have been Death Eaters. That seems a reasonable suspicion, Harry. But perhaps we should keep an open mind. After all, anyone may have wandered by in the middle of the night. They could have made their way unseen through the ranks of night duty enforcement officers. They may, by sheer accident, have entered the head's personal office, broke open a powerfully magical strongbox, and taken these items. It may be a schoolboy prank. Harry cringed. Through the calmness of Kingsley's tone, Harry could hear a tidal wave of anger approaching. Whoever the perpetrators may be, the minister continued, one thing is clear. Hermione did not destroy these items as she told me. Did you know about this, Harry? No, Harry confirmed. You told me that Hermione had said she destroyed them. Seeing Kingsley's expression, Harry continued. Look, perhaps I should have checked. I should have suspected that Hermione might want to help by studying them for longer. And perhaps they proved more difficult to destroy than we anticipated. I admire your loyalty, Harry, Kingsley said, but we both know that it is all troll dung. I have it on good authority that burning the grimoire and melting down the token would have rendered them unusable. Hermione kept them and lied to us. By good authority you mean Ambrose? It surprised Harry that he could say those words. That could mean only one thing. Kingsley nodded. The fact that you can ask that, Harry, means we are both in on his little secret. Harry nodded. I would like you to speak to Ambrose about these items, Kingsley said. I believe we may need his assistance. The consequences are nothing short of terrifying. Harry hesitated. Would you like to be in on the discussion, Minister? Kingsley glared at him. I think we both know I need to talk to Hermione. This matter is too grave, and someone in her position has no right to put her curiosity above the safety of the people. I honestly believe she felt she was... No, Kingsley stopped him. Please do your job, Head Aura, and permit me to do mine.